Tonight, the fallout from an historic Democratic primary in New York. Westchester County Executive George Latimer knocking progressive firebrand Jamaal Bowman out of the House.
Tonight we turn page, and we say that we believe in inclusion of everybody.
Latimer bested Bowman by double digits in New York's 16th congressional district, which includes part of the Bronx and the suburbs outside New York City. Bowman is the first ousted member of the progressive lawmakers who call themselves the Squad, and just the third incumbent to lose their seat this cycle. The congressman, defiant in defeat, at one point lashing out during his concession speech after he felt his concentration was broken.
It's coming. Why you mess it up, yo? Why you mess it up? Damn, I'm in the zone up here.
It was a bruising primary fight.
Yeah. He's nowhere to be found.
Go ahead.
Get out of here, man.
You're nowhere to be found.
One that showcased Democratic divides dating back to Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders in 2016. The two former rivals endorsed on opposite sides of this race.
Jamaal's victory will be significant.
New York's 16th broke records, the most expensive House primary in history. $25 million spent on ads, much of it from groups tied to AIPAC, a pro-Israel group at odds with Bowman's calls for a ceasefire and anti-Israeli stance. Is that the central issue in this race as you see it, though?
It is, because he was recruited by AIPAC to run against me because I called for a permanent ceasefire very early on.
Voters here motivated by a mix of local and national issues. What brought you out to vote?
I thought this was a very important race to just make my vote matter, especially for Westchester County.
As well as the general tone of the candidates, which got colorful at times.
I just feel like Bowman is just a little too aggressive. All the cursing, profanity, all the extraness, it's not needed because you're a man that's representing everyone.
But a bitter Democratic divide over Gaza on full display in an area with a significant number of Jewish voters.
He's been a really strong advocate for the Palestinian people.
Latimer wants to bring Israel and the Hamas to the table and come with a long-term solution. I feel like that's much better.
Those Democratic divides evident on election night.
We should be outraged when, unfortunately, some so-called Democrats are aligning themselves with radical, racist, right-wing Republicans. We should be outraged about that.
Past actions made Bowman more vulnerable to a well-known local challenger. He opposed key Democratic initiatives on infrastructure and the debt ceiling, and made-for-TV moments going after Republicans spurred questions about his seriousness.
They're gutless.
Plus, this now infamous moment. Bowman pulled a fire alarm to stall a high-stakes vote last September. He first said it was an accident, only to plead guilty to a misdemeanor for falsely triggering the alarm.
The fire alarm incident was inexplicable.
Now Bowman's primary defeat raising difficult questions for Democrats on the war and the political pitfalls it might bring come November.
It's much deeper than just about Gaza and Israel. He voted against some other things that would have unified the Democratic Party. And I think in a primary, the base was not appreciative of that.
Ali Vitale joins us tonight from Washington after spending a few days here on the ground actually covering that district and that race. So, Ali, what do we know about Bowman's plans after this loss? Is there a chance he runs in a third party in the general?
That would cause problems in the general, especially because this is a district that is blue. But once you start splitting that Democratic vote, I think that could get people very nervous, Tom. The reason that nervousness might exist, though, is because just last night when I was last with the congressman, he was asked, would you consider a run with another party? For example, the Working Families Party. He did not say no. Instead, at that point, he said, we're just going to win. Of course, that didn't happen. And now it sort of leaves an open question. Could he go that route, or will he just end his political bid for this district now?
And then, Ali, I'm curious, how did the vote break down in this primary, right? Because as we mentioned, you have the Bronx, but then you also have the suburbs of New York City.
Exactly. And this district before redistricting was way more Bronx than it was Westchester County. Now it's the Bronx is a sliver and Westchester County is the bulk of this district. So when you look at the vote breakdown, Bowman did really well in the Bronx. He blew it out. He got over 80% of the vote. But that's not where the bulk of the votes were in this district. Instead, it was really a 2-to-1 split for Latimer when you got into Westchester County. And I'll just tell you, anecdotally, I grew up in this area. I know a lot of the profile of candidates who have represented it before, and in my conversations with voters, it was clear many of them felt that Bowman was no longer aligned with that.
And then finally, Ali, what, if anything, can Democrats pull from this race for the general election? Were there lessons to be learned?
There are lessons. I'm not sure anyone's learned them yet, Tom. But the three that I'm looking at are the conversations that we're seeing bubbling already on Capitol Hill. The first is the ways that progressives are going to now deal with Democratic leadership. There was some griping behind the scenes about Democrats feeling their leadership, Hakeem Jeffries and others, didn't necessarily do enough for Bowman. Of course, leadership would forcefully push back on that and say, look, we respected the election results last time. We're respecting them now. This is what voters want. We just want to take back the majority. The second thing I'm thinking of is just the role of outside money. We've heard a lot about that from progressives, from Democrats writ large. Do they make a push on that, especially just given the amount of money AIPAC put into this? And then, of course, you've got another primary that's going to go kind of along these lines in Missouri with Congresswoman Cori Bush. AIPAC could be looking to put money into that race as well. That's really the next electoral test I'm going to be looking at to see if there's any lessons learned ahead of November, when all of them will be put to the test at the same time.
All right, Ali Vitale, always great to have you on.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.